Hello there. Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us for another of the Novation live streams. It's great to have you along for the ride. And tonight we've got quite a special a little edition of the live stream. Again, we have a guest, a very special guest, one of my colleagues, Mr. Alex Godfrey. And we're going to have a good chat with Alex. Alex, well, let's not say too much now. We'll find out what Alex does when we start to ask him the questions. But yeah, so we're going to have a bit of a chat with Alex, and he's also going to give us a bit of a performance as well, which I'm really excited about, really looking forward to. And so, yeah. So I'm going to switch over to the camera shot now and introduce Mr. Alex Godfrey to YouTube land. Hey, Alex, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Hey, Chris. Yeah, very well, thank you. Nice to see you. How you doing?
Yeah, great to see you. And thanks very much for joining us as well. Well, it's evening here down in Brighton. I'm guessing it is where you are as well, Alex.
Yeah, it's pretty dark out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, why not introduce yourself? That's a good starting point. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, who are you and where you're from and all that sort of caper.
Sure, yeah. I'm Alex from Cambridge. That's where I'm broadcasting from now. I moved over to High Wycombe for a few years, where I was working at Focusrite for the last, 6 years now. Focusrite Novation. That's me. I recently started as product specialist on the UK team. That's right.
Yeah. So you're kind of. Yeah, I mean, tell us a little bit about product specialists. I mean, you know, I guess I'm a product specialist myself for Focusrite Novation. For people who aren't quite kind of, you know, who maybe don't know what that role is, what that job is, how would you describe it?
Well, it's quite fun to be asked that question by you, Chris, because you're the guy who inspired me to get into it. Product specialist. I think the role of product specialist is fundamentally to try and inspire people, or at least to inspire people to want to make music and. Hopefully using the equipment that our team works really, really hard to get together. I remember watching you do a demo with the circuit in the office in about 6 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I really hadn't had much experience with drum machines and synthesizers at that point. But yeah, you just did a few tricks. Showed the little womp womp kind of thing with the distortion automation on the kick, and I was totally sold on that, and that was what got me onto circuit in the first place, and that's basically what I'm trying to do now. I'm on the team as well, so it's a really, really fun job. We just got to try and hype that.
Well, you're making me blush a bit there, Alex, but thank you very much for those very kind words. That's ace to hear. Yeah, I mean, as a product specialist, I think you're quite right. You know, we have engineers making the stuff. We have marketing people kind of, producing material that helps sort of get kind of the gear in front of people. But also the product specialist, I think, it's quite a nice role, to be perfectly honest, because, you know, I think I've said this before, but, you know, we are the sweet tasters in the sweet factory.
Yeah, man.
And so you've just recently joined the UK team, haven't you, to kind of be product specialist? So in the UK. So I guess that's going to require a bit of travelling around and all that sort of stuff as well, is it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so getting out and about a little bit at the moment. Starting to get out and about a little bit more at the moment. Visiting sort of retailers all around the country. But I started in April, and for the first 6 months of the job, it was just. Pretty much at home making videos of how to use our equipment and then posting it on the internet, which is brilliant. That's been really fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. And so
it's good fun.
Yeah, you've got some videos sort of up and about already, haven't you? With some really great sort of tips and tricks and kind of hacks as well for using circuit tracks, I think.
Yeah, we've got a couple of bits floating around now. We did a series of tracks hacks, so 1 minute videos trying to explain sort of fun use cases for tracks, and a few bits on rhythm and tracks working together.
Yeah, nice.
in the pipeline.
It's good stuff. And I must admit as well, Alex, I always, obviously we talk at work and we kind of, sort of share the stuff that, that we've been working on a bit, and you send those videos through, and, I feel, I'm pretty okay with circuit rhythm, circuit tracks, and of course the original circuit. I've kind of been living and breathing those things for quite a while. But I must say, Alex, every time I sit and watch one of your Tracks Axe videos, I always come away and say, I didn't know I could do that. And it's so great to kind of just share those ideas, really, I think, and kind of, yeah. So,
well, that's the great fun thing about where we work by, is like everyone's always swapping ideas and tips and tricks, and everyone's so enthusiastic about it as well. Like across all, it's not absolutely not like unique to the product specialist role at all. Like everyone at every stage of the development and project process gets stuck in and has loads of great ideas, not just on how to use them, but also how they could be used. And some ideas come out of that they end up in the product. Well,
that's it. I mean, we all, I say, we're the people there sort of tasting the sweets in the sweet shop and stuff, but pretty much everybody at Focusrite Novation likes sweets as well. So we're all pretty kind of ingrained in that sort of culture of it. It's really nice. But and
it's worth mentioning as well. Like, it's not just a matter of getting familiar with the things and then being able to present that to other people, but also feeding that back to the design and the development process.
Yeah, of course.
But it's a collaborative effort across the whole business.
Oh yeah, for sure. Really, really fun. Yeah, great stuff. But I mean, you've recently joined the product specialist team, but as you say, you've been at Focusrite for a good few years now. So so I mean, obviously, what were you doing before product specialist? The product specialist role. Maybe tell folks a little bit about kind of the stuff you were doing beforehand.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, prior to Focusrite, I was at uni studying sound engineering in Birmingham, and then I did a placement year in the support team, who are a brilliant team and really know their stuff, and world class. They're a really really fun team as well. So I was there for a placement for a year, which was very eye opening, and that was great. Got to know the customers and got to know the products and what's important to people, and also what the pain points are, so spent a year doing that on placement, and then a little bit in my third year whilst also doing dissertation and stuff. Then came back, did a little stint in the sales admin team, and then moved into the Novation quality assurance team,
QA,
which that is what I was doing from 2017 up until just about 6 months ago. That was really really fun. I worked on bunch of stuff there.
So, well, I mean, I guess we've titled this edition of the live stream Meet the Makers, and I think it's fair to say that you were pretty involved on the kind of development side, really, for both Circuit Tracks and Circuit Rhythm as a QA engineer, weren't you?
Yeah. Though I think the more appropriate title would be Meet the Breakers, because the role of QA, the role of the test team is to break things until to find when things break a lot of the time, and also to feed that back to the development team. They then make the thing work properly, work up to requirement, and then we try and break it again until we're ready to ship it when it's not breaking.
Well, that's it exactly. I mean, it's
luckily there's not too many breaks though. They're all really good.
I think we're pretty good on that side of things. I mean, I know that things are thoroughly checked. I know, because I mean, obviously, whilst stuff is being developed as well, as a product specialist, we're kind of getting our hands on it as well and kind of using it in real world situations and stuff. And it's quite interesting, actually. Sometimes, in a real world situation, it's kind of slightly out of the kind of the if you like, the kind of the engineers kind of sort of world in terms of the testing. So things like that kind of creep up. So I know that when Circuit Tracks was being worked on, you and I spoke a bit, and we can I think I might have found a bug. Yeah, do you want to check this out just to see what this is? And it's quite a task really to get through that. And it's a long process to get one of these sorts of products out there. It's not just something that happens overnight, and it takes a lot of thorough testing. So if I could, I'll just explain the sort of
the QA process from start to finish in the project. Essentially, so it's the products start off essentially as an idea. Those ideas are then, or a set of ideas. Those ideas are then put into requirements, which means it's got to be writing down everything that we want it to be. At this point, QA, we get involved and check the requirements for any contradictions. So you can't just have like one requirement saying it's got to be square, and then another requirement saying it's got to be triangle, for example. To put that into context, you can't have contradictions. We've also got to make sure they're measurable as well. That you can't just say like it slaps. Like that's not. It's we want it to slap, but it's got to be measurable.
Yeah.
And then we design tests for each of those. Automate as many as we can.
When you say automate, what do you mean by that?
So instead of perhaps generate it for example, with the circuits, we've got an audio input and we've got an audio output. We want to make sure that the signal flow is as clean as possible, so you don't get any like distortion or noise. And we also want to understand exactly how well that signal flow is working, the dynamic range and the specifications of it. Each time, so the manual way to test that would be generate a signal, send it through the signal chain, and then have a look at the signal that comes out, at which point checking whether or not it fits the signal that we expect to see. To automate that, we could write a script which generates tons of signals really, really quickly, and then also it automatically checks the results on the other end as well. Which is by the end of it you've done effectively weeks of manual work, but with just kind of like press a button, make a cup of tea, come back and check for green light.
Okay, yeah, cool. So I mean, are you kind of using fancy test equipment as well? Are you?
Fancier and fancier as they go along as well. They've got all sorts of fun toys. You can kind of break down to software and hardware testing. I think the fun stuff I think some of the funnest stuff to describe is on the hardware side of things. So, for example, we've got a lot of products with pads, right? Launch pad, we've got SL Mark III, the circuits. Now you want to make sure that the force you're inputting is equal. The force that's registered on that pad is equal to the force that's actually applied to it. So we've got a Newton meter, which is essentially like you apply pressure to something and it'll tell you how much pressure it's applying on the meter. Actually, it doesn't just tell you on a dial. We did have one like that, but we've got a digital one, which then feeds that back to the computer. And then obviously from the circuit or the launch pad, it tells us how much force it thinks the force sensitive resistor underneath the pad is collecting. And and then we match those two together. So kind of like you just big rig basically, where you kind of like pushing things in. We did also have some capacitive stuff once. So like touch, we've got a touch strip on the Launch Key Mini, and to test that, I need to get something that simulates a human finger.
I don't know where this is going, Alex.
I found some options online, and we went for a brass rod in the end, but I really wanted like a very realistic human finger to just leave around the office as well, like see
a disembodied finger floating around.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that would be amazing. Yeah. Superb. Yeah.
So it was good fun.
Yeah. So I mean, so you're going around, you're kind of finding the sort of the bugs and stuff. So when you found a bug, or you found something that kind of needs a bit of testing, so what's the kind of the process from that point? Kind of how do you go around like squashing the bugs, I guess?
Well, I mean, this is the funny bit as well. Like, we don't. I like the QA team. Well, at least I didn't squash the bugs. We just kind of send it back to the developer and then ask them to fix it. Now, this is the fun part because we've got loads of developers, right? We've got a mechanical engineer, we've got an electronics engineer, we've got a firmware engineer, a software engineer. Yeah. And first off, the QA has got to determine where that problem actually is. So if we find a problem with the pads, there's actually a chance it could be a problem with the mechanical side of things, like it could actually be not seated properly. Or it could be a problem with the software. Like it's not actually, it's some numbers getting fudged somewhere. Or it could be an electronics problem. There's some interference. Right. And then we we as QA get we develop a tennis, trying to find where it goes to.
It's not us, it's them.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we've got to be really sure we know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And then we hand it back to the developer to do their magic.
Okay.
And then they give it back and we test it again.
Right, cool. And so, for example, circuit tracks. I mean, how long were you on that project for? Would you say?
In various stages for a couple of years, but I think it's around about that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was. It's about that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And so, do you have any kind of favourite moments or kind of favourite parts of that project, of the circuit tracks project?
When we first got the prototypes, was very exciting because
it's always It's always a special moment, isn't it? Of course.
Yeah, they call it Frankenstein because it's alive. It's got no chassis. It's just a printed circuit board with some lights, no battery. It's just plugged straight in. That's very exciting. I've been really excited, and I know a lot of people actually who follow Novation have been really excited for the follow up to Circuit and Mono Station for a long time.
Yeah,
I was definitely in that crowd as well. So yeah, when the first prototype landed, that was very exciting. It was alive, and then and of course, shout out to Danny who you had on before.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Before even the first prototype was, the actual hardware had arrived. I think he mentioned this actually before, like on the other chat. He'd mocked up brilliant prototypes just that you could run on a computer, and that's when you start to, it really starts to take shape. So
I think you're right. It's always a special moment, isn't it, when you start to, something actually does come alive for that first time, and it's okay. Yep, this is an actual thing now. This is actually, it's growing legs, and it's going to start, doing some pretty special stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And you're quite right, Danny. Who also joined us for one of the live streams. He kind of did. I think I'm right in saying in pretty much most of the design work in terms of the user interface and the way the flow of the hardware. He's a bit of a whiz, isn't he? When he says, "Oh, I've just built a Max patch. Just want to try this out and just see what you think." And it just really kind of gets things. So it gets really, just gets things really, really exciting. Yeah, and that journey is just gets better and better, doesn't it? Really, I suppose. So Now,
one other moment I just remembered right at the beginning,
go ahead.
when that prototype arrived, the firmware developer. I think it just loaded one sample on there, and it was And
of course.
That was really fun, and you could start like repitching it and destroying it and stuff. But I was showing it to a mate, and it got stuck, and I couldn't turn it off, and it was just on a loop going, "Oh yeah, oh yeah."
Brilliant.
That was a fun moment. Yeah. Bugs. Bugs can be funny sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I think you're right there. And so with Circuit Rhythm as well. I mean, you were involved on the Circuit Rhythm project as well to an extent, weren't you? Yeah.
That was so much fun as well because the sample engine was brand new there, so that was from the ground up. That was quite amazing to see that come to life, and the amount of work involved in
for sure.
Getting that together is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I mean, that was a new kind of basically a new product for us, really. I guess the first time we'd kind of concentrated on doing something that was sampler based. Again, obviously in the very similar kind of format to the circuit tracks in terms of the hardware, but actually under the hood, there's quite a lot of different stuff going on in there, really, in terms of the in terms of the user interface, in terms of the the things that make up the sample tracks and that sort of thing. So it's quite, again, that was quite exciting. I mean, I always do really enjoy when we're doing something kind of innovative and novel in that way. It's kind of, let's see how this grows and where it gets to. So, good stuff.
Yeah, it's really nice to see it take shape.
Yeah. And you were doing QA stuff on Circuit Rhythm as well, weren't you, initially?
That's right, yeah. Circuit Tracks, Circuit Rhythm. We also had a team of beta testers who absolutely brilliant. They'd get into it. And, of course, yourself and some other product specialists. Yeah. It's really good to, everyone gets... everyone sort of pitches in on finding bugs because we're really on the we were really on the low level looking at LEDs flickering and stuff. But then you do sometimes forget to just zoom out and just play with it and have fun and sort of say like use case bugs. So yeah.
Yeah, of course. But play on the stuff you do, though, Alex. I mean, you can tell by your room there that you've got a little bit of gear with you.
I do have. Yeah. It's a nice collection. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Novation rig. So
yeah, absolutely. It's a fine rig. I must say as well, a special shout out to the decoration in your room there. I mean that wall.
Thank you.
That you paint, I think you painted that, didn't you? The wall to your left, yeah. It's stunning.
Yeah.
It looks superb.
Well, cheers. I figured since the new role is entirely remote working, and this is now my home and my office, I figured like put the time in and make something fun. I haven't got sick of looking at it yet. Yeah. Most people have. Stepping in for more than a minute.
That's it. That's cracking. Yeah. It's quite inspirational.
Quite
I'm guessing it's yeah. Brilliant. But you're gonna give us a little performance as well. I think that's kind of what we're planning. So
yeah.
So what are you gonna use for the performance?
So predominantly it's the power combo. It's circuit, tracks, and rhythm working together.
Nice.
Circuit tracks. 2 MIDI sequencer tracks on there as well. So
excellent,
the first MIDI track is sequencing an Aphex station, a bass station 2, an Aphex station.
Nice.
Which is this one, and MIDI track 2 on circuit is sequencing the Summit. Yeah, and then of course, so the audio from Summit. I'll just wheel back here.
Yeah.
The audio from Summit and Bass Station is routed back in through input 1 and 2 on the tracks, which means we can apply the reverb and the delay and the sidechain and the mixer all to the synths. Tracks is then the output of that is connected into circuit rhythm.
Yeah.
And so all that I'm feeding into my interface that you're going to be hearing is just 2 outputs straight from circuit rhythm. So it's really, really fun because I think you work like this as well, right? Where you just sort of doorless basically. So
totally, yeah.
Which kind of limits in some respects, but I actually really enjoy having some limitations when I'm working in Ableton or another DAW, and I've just got all these individual tracks to tweak with endlessly. Yeah, I never get anything finished. But
well, that's it. I mean, you're totally right, Alex. I exclusively work outside of software. My software is basically a 2-track recorder in this room. A left and a right, just a master output from a mixing desk over there, just being, just recording in. Occasionally I might do a little bit of tidying up on a track afterwards. But yeah, for me, kind of, I'm not a producer at all. I don't sit and kind of, push the mouse around trying to get everything just so. I'm not particularly interested in the fine details of that. I just want to have a bit of fun and just play music. So pretty much everything is kind of performance based for me. And I think that's kind of how I kind of try and get tracks finished is actually just kind of, it's like, when you get up on stage and you play guitar and you write a song and you play a song or something like that, there's a start, a beginning and an end. A beginning, a middle and an end. And that's the song. And that's pretty much kind of what I try to do myself with the gear. And you're right. I think there are limitations, but then the problem is you kind of get bitten by the bug, and those limitations just means that the gear expands and expands and expands, and eventually you kind of surround yourself with stuff up on shelves that you probably haven't touched for about 3 or 4 years, but I'm never going to get rid of. It's one of those things. But I guess that's a nice problem to have. Yeah,
it is a nice problem to have. Though it's worth mentioning as well with the circuits, like you can unplug them from the center of the workstation and then just go ahead and make a track on the go. So a lot of ideas
exactly
start
right.
on a train or just on holiday or something, and then come back and plug it in to get it speaking with everything. But yeah, you're right. The guitar approach is very different. Worth mentioning, I started with the guitar, and these are really fun to, if you're a guitarist, like jam over the top of as well.
Yeah, of course.
Jam through as well with. Yeah. Particularly when you've got some grid effects on circuit rhythm.
Yes,
you can
indeed.
get some pretty like Hendrix sounds if you engage the reverser.
Yeah. Indeed. In fact, should I do it? Yeah, I'll do it. Hang on a sec.
I think I know what you can do.
So if I just turn that on and then put the reverser on. So you can just instant psychedelia. It's a lot of fun. Forgive me 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's good effects. Actually, I'll show a little bit of that in a little while. But yeah, I'll tell you what, Alex. I think yeah, I think I'm going to ask you to get going if that's all right. We'll have a bit of a play, and yeah, we'll sit back and enjoy your performance. So, are you all set to go? Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I'd like to try and get this top camera working.
Yeah, sure thing. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll switch to another view so that people don't see you kind of break all the health and safety regulations climbing around your room to get your camera.
Wouldn't dream.
So, yeah.
The grid effects on voice trick, also great fun for Zoom calls, like if you're on a meeting,
for sure.
or anything, just start remixing on the fly. Really, really good fun.
I watch everybody's face in Zoom just look totally confused. Have I got a bug in the software? What's going on?
I think it's some lag.
Brilliant. Okay, well, you take a moment just to get your camera sorted out. I might just demonstrate something while you're doing that, actually.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, I'll switch over here. So I think, actually, Alex won't be coming through on the audio now, but if I just switch to this shot here, I've got the old set up here. Obviously, I've got a circuit rhythm on here. I brought the old SL out. I mean, I do genuinely love this thing a great deal. I brought the SL out just so I've got some nice keys to play. And I was just messing around with this in exactly the way that, Alex and I were just chatting about. Circuit Rhythm has got these great grid effects on board. And, obviously they're going to work with all the internal sounds that you have. That's kind of what it's designed to do. But also by the fact that we've got these audio inputs and the audio passes through the Circuit Rhythm's effects, it means it's actually a really quite a neat effects processor as well. So here I've just got this kind of Fender Rhodes sound going on. And if I'll turn on the reverser for this, and this is exactly what I did with the voice before, but so you've got this live, weird kind of psychedelic reversing stuff. Now, the reason I got the SL out as well, of course, is I've got my keys now to play all the different synths and stuff in the room, but also just a moment on those grid effects, because the grid effects are all controllable via CC. CC messages, controller change messages, which are obviously, kind of the way that all these devices talk to each other. So I spent a moment basically programming up a set of controls for the grid effects. Now, I'm obviously, I've got Circuit Rhythm running here. If I just hit play and just bring in the drum kit here, so I can kind of just play around. And then I can do all my kind of grid effect controls from the mappings I've got here. So I've got let's go for a beat repeat. And then I can change the beat repeat rate. Now, of course, on the hardware, on the Circuit Rhythm over here, I've got the beat repeat, of course, and so you can use, obviously, the grids, but you've got 16 pads here. By exposing all of the controls, you get a lot of great stuff. So, for example, if I turn on the filter, there's the filter turned on, and now I can control the filter. Now, normally, the filter is set to be an auto filter with an LFO attached to it. So, and I can change the speed of that as well. Oh, sorry, that's the shape. So let's go for a change of the speed. We can change the filter type, low pass to high pass through band pass. And we can really start to take control of all these extra effects in there. And it's a really nice thing to be able to do. So, so I just thought I'd kind of just showcase that a little bit. The fact that we've got all of these nice controls here. This is obviously an SL Mark III that has got, it's got its templates in there, and I created a template. But of course, any kind of MIDI controller, anything that spits out MIDI data, you could connect to the Circuit Rhythm. And, if you can create your own mappings, if you can assign CCs to stuff, you've got all this extra playground on the Circuit Rhythm, all these extra effects, extra stuff. And as I say, it's just great for kind of playing with as well. So if, as I say, go back. There we go, I've got the old filter on there. So just these extra effects. Let's put the gator on. And we'll put the reverser back on. Oh, a bit loud there, but never mind. And then if I bring in the beat repeat as well, and there it is. I'll take the other stuff on, but you've also got a dry wet for that, so I can actually go halfway and now. So it just opens up a lot more kind of opportunities for the effects that you've got on the circuit rhythm. Anyway, I'm looking over and I can see that Alex has now got his top-down shot ready. So I'm going to switch over to to this view again. How are you getting on, Alex? Are you about ready there, mate?
Yeah, I think we're ready to roll. The battery's low on the camera, so if it goes, I might just improvise something, but you can see what's going on there.
Yeah, well, I think if that goes, we'll have 2 little mini versions of you in the top corners anyway, so that's be fine. Okay, mate, I'm going to pass you over. You get yourself all set up and ready. I'll pass you over to... yeah. Okay, you ready to go?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, brilliant. I'll switch over to you now. All the best, mate, and I'll see you on the other side.
Wicked. Cheers, CALC. Okay, yeah, let's hit play. right, let's try one more. Okay, let's bring it up a bit.
Sounding good there, Alex, mate.
Thanks, man. Got another couple lined up for you, and then
Yeah.
that's me.
Excellent, excellent. Right, I'll pass you back over.
Safe. me. Let's see what we got. Alright. Let's get funky. Alright.
Bravo, sir. That was superb, Alex. Great work, man. Brilliant.
That's so much fun, those things. Yeah, they're great fun. Let me just I'll get that down here.
Yeah, sure thing. No, that was superb, Alex. So that was some really great stuff. I've got some questions on that as well. I mean, there was in the second track that you played there. Yes. You kind of, it sounded like you had a bit of an arpeggiator going on the circuit tracks. At least that's what I thought. Is that right? Or what? I mean, how did you get that kind of sound going?
That arpeggiator, I believe, was the base station's arpeggiator.
Ah, of course, right, okay.
So it was coming from tracks.
Yeah.
It was being sequenced from tracks, and then you just set a base station to be arpeggiated from the input, input, and then it'll go wild. It's a lot of squelch, a lot of fun, and of course the tracks' delay and reverb are being applied to a bass station, which makes it sound pretty wide. Yeah,
absolutely. Where was on the last track that you played as well? Where was the acid bass line sort of coming from? Where's the acid sound coming from?
That was a bass station as well.
Yeah,
the squelch on that thing is continue playing with that forever. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I have to say, the Base Station 2 AFX station. I've got my AFX station just here now as well. It's just a go-to every single time. It's just like, okay, I want a sound. I know I can make it on the Base Station. That's fine. In a way, it's the same kind of thing for Summit for me as well. You know, kind of you get a sound in your head, and then it's like, okay, I know how to do that on these instruments. It's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, you can start to fly through them. And sequencing. Yeah, I love the Base Station so much. I've got two of them. Trying to sequence them both at the same time. Almost
Brilliant.
getting off voices to emulate a guitar. The
one for each hand. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it really starts coming to his own when you start sequencing it.
Yeah.
I remember, like, you always hear these ridiculously complex synth lines, and you think, how on earth did anyone learn to play that with their keys and so precisely?
Yeah.
And once you start, it was Circuit for me that unlocked that ability. It was just sequencing synths, and you can go wild.
It's a really, really powerful sequencer, especially in Circuit Tracks with the developments from the original kind of making their way into Circuit Tracks.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some of the additional kind of sequencing functions on there really, it's a really, really powerful sequencer. It does a lot of stuff. I mean,
the new pattern settings. They really open it up. I was just trying to remember which track it is I've got there with like a short pattern loop, but you can start playing them like a pattern as an instrument as well at that point. If you can shorten patterns, have them at different speeds, like just flick between them as different sequences.
Yeah, exactly.
Really good fun.
I think you're right. I think pattern settings is quite revolutionary certainly for the Circuit. I mean, the original Circuit didn't have that. It came about for the Circuit Monostation. Then it came into the SL Mark III as well, and obviously it made its way into Circuit Tracks and Circuit Rhythm. But the ability to kind of, I mean, one thing that I do a lot is I kind of have a lot of chord, long kind of format chord progressions and that sort of thing. And I very often switch it down to a quarter speed on the pattern settings.
Yes.
And so a single sort of 16 step, if you like, sequence becomes 4 bars worth of steps. And obviously, on the Circuit Rhythm and the Circuit Tracks, you can expand that to 32 steps per pattern. It becomes 8 bars. And you've got 8 patterns. So if you chain those together, you've got 64 bars worth of kind of stuff in just one session. So, I mean, it really, it means you can get some really quite
It totally changed. Sorry,
that's all right. I was struggling for the word. It's all right, Alex. Maybe you could think of the word for me. It's good.
Well, it just totally changed the sound of my music after I started getting access to different pattern speeds, because all of a sudden everything wasn't on that 16th grid. So everything started to chill out a bit, because you can start slow. You can put some patterns to be a bit slow, like you're saying. You also, the trick where you can have a blank pattern that's a very long pattern. There's nothing in there, but it just means that that scene will just play. Like, you'll have a few loops, but you can essentially write a verse and a chorus and a verse, and
exactly. So scenes, of course, is the ability to kind of grab a bunch of patterns that you maybe have kind of chained together and worked on and stuff, and then you can load that configuration of the patterns into one of the scenes, and then you've got 16 scenes that you can kind of just use to sort of switch between banks of patterns, and you can instantly you can just kind of pull up those banks of patterns. And also chaining the scenes together basically gives you an arrangement mode on both Circuit Tracks and Circuit Rhythm. So you've kind of got a song mode there. You can kind of just chain those things together and make long format pieces of music with it. And I think when we first got the the stock kind of patterns for I think it was for Circuit Tracks. I think I timed them, and we were getting sort of 4-minute pieces of music out of one session. Sort of structured, arranged pieces of music. It's again another really big game changer, I think, for the way that that sequence has kind of developed.
It's pretty wild. Yeah, you get full songs out of a sequence, and of course they loop as well. So
exactly. That's it. Yeah. So if you've got any kind of favorite sort of things within either circuit tracks or circuit rhythm? Is there something that really kind of floats your boat when you're working on it? Is there a little technique or something like that you enjoy using?
Ooh, fun
It's
tricks.
quite open-ended, isn't it? Yeah.
No, well, you might have noticed I really can't get enough of those grid effects.
Yeah.
They're just so much fun. I really like, really like the beat repeat and the gator.
Yeah.
They're instant fun. But in terms of fun tricks,
There
can't
was
think
one. There was
Sorry,
one that I saw you do as one of those hack series that I thought was a stroke of genius, and that was the chord bank thing.
Oh yeah,
That was so neat.
Yeah, so that's a lot of fun. I'll see if we can set that up really quickly. So let's get a chord. So you could just you got now you can so I've just put a different chord on each step. You can hear those back. But if you now view lock onto if you select some different patterns, or view lock onto that first, which means we'll always be seeing these chord banks. And then
so when you're looking at the track, you're just going to focus on the one pattern that has got those chords in there.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And then if you have if the sequence is actually reading and writing to different patterns, for example, these ones that are selected here, then I can play those in live essentially. So I've got record on, I click play, and then hear that back. Oh, I don't know. I've not set that up properly.
Put you on the spot there, didn't it? Yeah. Well, welcome to the world of the live stream, there, Alex. Yeah. If I had £1 for every time that happened to me, I'd have £3.50. Anyway. Yeah. Superb. Yeah. So what about on rhythm as well? I mean, obviously you mentioned the grid effects. Anything else that kind of really sort of floats your boat with that one?
I'm trying to think like off the.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot, aren't I?
No. I mean, no. I certainly. There's a lot to think of. I mean, I really like the random features that we've got now. Probability.
Yeah.
You can have probability per step. So I mean, you could just make a whole sequence. Let's do a blank. Whole sequence of hi-hats.
Yeah.
And then what we're looking at here is I'm holding a step. You see the playhead goes. Ooh, we don't want to hear that. That's quite abrasive, isn't it? So each step you can apply a different probability to. Yeah. I quite like just particularly with the hi-hats, setting the probability for each of them to quite low, and then you'll get a completely different rhythm each time. But if I just set it to halfway.
Yeah.
On those, I didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done them all the same, so I could have just done a one-step pattern there. But but if I let that go, it'll just kind of pull out a different hi-hat rhythm each time, which is really, really good if you're doing longer pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
And it starts to throw ideas back at you, which is the really nice thing. It's a really symbiotic relationship between you and your machine. So
I think you're right. I mean, I think the probability is really, really useful, and you're quite right. It's not generative per se, but it kind of is as well, because it's just it's doing its own thing once you've added that probability in there, and it just keeps things fresh as well. It just kind of keeps things moving, and it's not just going to be that same static pattern that you've put in every single time. You've got nuance, you've got subtleties kind of creeping in, and it's a nice little feature, that one, I think, as well.
And the same could be said for the random playback direction on the pattern settings page.
Oh,
as well.
God, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was having a bit of fun last night with the ARP doing exactly that. Just kind of, I got the ARP plumbed into the circuit rhythm and was just sequencing the ARP from one of the tracks, but just hit random, and it's just like, yep, there we go, that's going to do. It's just bubbling along nicely. Yeah. Brilliant.
I like having, again, with the hi-hats, just each step has a different velocity, usually ascending. So if you let it play, it would go from a very quiet hi-hat to a very loud hi-hat, as if it's only going in one direction. But if you set that to a random playback, then you'll just get a different velocity hi-hat on each step.
Yeah. And again, all these kind of little subtleties and these little changes in the pattern just bring life to it and just keep it fresh every single time you play it back. It's really nice. Yeah. It's great stuff. So, have you always been into synths, Alex? What was, have you come to synths, or have you always been interested in them? How did you get to this?
Well, I started.
Fascination.
I started on Guitar Hero 3. I got pretty high on the worldwide leaderboards.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was when I was a kid. I told my dad, I was like, oh, I'm really proud. I got on the leaderboards. He said, oh, we should probably get a real guitar.
Yeah.
Wasn't digging it. And I'm very, very glad he did encourage me that way. Yeah. So yeah, then guitar came next. Got absolutely obsessed with that. Then started getting a bit interested in electronic stuff, and come over to Focusrite Novation. That was, and I'm not kidding, man. It's when I saw you playing about on the circuit, I was like, this is the sounds I wanted to make, because it made it much more accessible. You look at synthesizers, can be quite intimidating, particularly if you're like a one-person band. You know, you want to you want to be able to make a full sounding track, and that's kind of difficult with just a guitar sometimes and just a synthesizer sometimes. But this, you got a few drum tracks, you've got a few synths in there, and then you can build on it really easily as well. So you just get a few extra synths or another drum machine. Yeah,
it's funny because my sort of background, for most of my life, I would say, is probably playing in bands and playing with other people, and I had some of the best times I've ever had doing that sort of stuff. But then, you
played the trombone, right?
Well, I studied trombone. Yeah, that was kind of the focus for me for most of my kind of early years. And I suppose, well, still play a bit today as well. It's but guitar was the instrument I always kind of felt most comfortable with, I think. And it was social. I was playing with bands and all that sort of stuff. But I'll never forget, I moved to Brighton, and the very first flat that we got here in Brighton was on the top floor of this 4-story house, and the stairwell was like that, trying to get up and down. And I have quite a big amplifier, a Vox AC30, which is like 32 kilograms, and it's a beast. And I remember carrying it upstairs when we moved to Brighton, and I got to the top of the stairs. I was like, I don't think I'm going to play in any bands anymore. I can't take this up and down these stairs day in, day out to go and rehearse and stuff. So I kind of got the synths back out again. I mean, I'd always kind of played around with synths, but the thing that I found really quite liberating, and this is nothing against my bandmates who I love dearly, I genuinely do, but at the same time, it's really quite liberating to just be the band, just do everything. There's no arguments with the drummer.
They never show up late. They do exactly what they're programmed to do. It's
exactly.
A bit of a control thing, maybe.
There's never any arguments there. I mean, sometimes I do swear at them, but at the synthesizers. But that's generally my fault and my bad. So brilliant. So
but of course they do play well. Like we get together and jam, and they're not completely antisocial.
Oh no, for sure. In fact, actually, at the weekend. My good mate Jason Hotchkiss from 64 Pixels came round, and we've got this little kind of duo thing that we do. It's a bit out there. I would say it's kind of electronic free jazz, I think, and quite noisy stuff as well. But there is something pretty special about actually working with other people, of course. So brilliant. I think we'll probably wrap up. I guess now, Alex. But I've got two quick questions for you. So the first one is. What's your favourite bit of gear? I always like to know what people's favourite piece of gear is.
I would say at the moment. Oh, that's a difficult question.
You're totally free to say whatever you want as well. It could be Novation, it could be something else, whatever, I guess. But
so at the moment, the absolutely buying away is the Circuit Rhythm. Because I feel very personally attached to that. I've worked with the team on it and watched it come to life. But it's also it's a really good piece of equipment, and
it's bloody marvellous, isn't it?
It is. It's late. It's past the watershed. The base station, however, is probably the mainstay. That's been the thing that I consistently go back to the most.
Lovely.
And there's two answers. That's enough, isn't it?
They're good answers as well. I think they're solid answers. I think they're and and I guess the
what's
last
yours?
thing.
Sorry, I want to know what's yours.
Oh, there are too many. There's loads of different things. I mean, the thing about being a product specialist, as you'll kind of I guess know and certainly understand, is that making music is the end goal, of course, but equally for me, the fascination is in products, in lots of different products. and kind of understanding what they are, what they do, and just kind of finding new ways of making new sounds and kind of exploring new avenues. So my favourite piece of gear changes pretty much all the time. I mean, you know, I got the SL back out here again this evening, and I always come back to this thing. I think it's amazing because it's pretty much the same sequencer. So I think Circuit Tracks is slightly kind of improved in the fact that it's got, you know, up to 32 step patterns. But the fact it's got keys attached to the sequencer for me is the big deal. I love to sit and just noodle around and just play. I'm not a particularly good player, but I'm at home in front of the keyboard. So I really, really do love the SL Mark III. Circuit Rhythm at the minute as well is something, of course, you know, it's still relatively new, but what that's doing is it's just bringing a whole new kind of way, and just a fresh way of working with samples, which, you know, I use quite a lot of samples in the music that I make, certainly for drum parts and all that sort of stuff. And the thing I think about the Circuit Rhythm is the fact that it's just so easy to get to grips with. And, you know, within a couple of seconds, you've got something that it might just be a little sketch out of a rhythm or something like that, but within a few seconds, you're on your way to work, you know, to making stuff. And that's what I really love about the Circuit Rhythm, is that kind of, just that approach. It just knocks away all the kind of the head scratching and the kind of the menu diving. I'm not particularly big on menu diving, and screens as well. I know obviously a lot of people are kind of, you know, that's a bit of a polarizing sort of aspect to the circuits, but for me personally, you know, I'm staring at a screen all day, and you know, it's just nice to just step away from that and actually, you know, just sort of not lose yourself in that big screen, but just kind of just get your fingers on there, get your hands dirty, and start making music. And I really do love that aspect of it.
Losing the screens is a big deal. Yeah. Well, for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I guess, you know, I understand it's not for everybody, but actually, when it does click with you, the UI. I mean, I'm never lost on a Circuit Rhythm. I used to use a sampler by another company when I was playing live. I'll not name it specifically, but it had a tiny kind of little letterbox screen in the middle of it, and I was kind of so reliant on that, but I could not see it, could not read it. And I'll never forget, I kind of shifted over to the original circuit, actually, to kind of, it was just 4 drum parts, but I shifted over to that to kind of, you know, do sort of rhythm stuff. But the thing is, on the circuits, you just have to look at it. You know what page you're in. You know what you're dealing with. You know, you've got all this kind of feedback, and it's such a clever way that the pads and the RGB LEDs behind them are just giving you information. So I played gigs with this other thing, with a torch, with my face, you know, sort of 3 inches away from this screen, thinking, I can't see this. I can't understand what's going on here. And then I could be on the other side of the room and look at a Circuit Tracks and say, oh, yeah, you're in the mixer page there, or, oh, yeah, you're on track 1, or that's the drum part, or, you know, you're looking at sidechain, or something, you know, something like that. It's just kind of, it's so straightforward to me. And I do love that. I do love that.
It always blows me away just how much how much information is given to the user just with 32 pads and menu buttons. Like, yeah, of course. It's essentially a very low resolution screen.
Yeah,
pretty
and you know, I do genuinely love it when you turn to the tempo screen and you get the readout of the tempo on the pads. Yeah, I just think that's ace. You know, that just tells me what I need. All I need to know is just those 3 numbers or 2 numbers or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't write music in the thousands of BPMs just at this point, but but yeah, so you just get that readout and it's there. I mean, you know, it's superb. So yeah, so those are my 2 kind of Novation things, but I have to say at the minute I've got this Buchla easel command, and oh my god, it's just yeah. I mean, that just does stuff that nothing that I've got does, and it just does it in this kind of really idiosyncratic and interesting way. So I'm very much happy with that. And also, I should shout out very quickly. I don't know if it's on this shot, but I don't know if that can be seen. Yeah, it can be seen. That's the Norns there. Yeah. That's made by a company called Monome Norns, and actually, I think one of the next live streams, I'm going to be sort of working with the Norns, which is basically a Raspberry Pi computer with a whole load of amazing, truly amazing scripts made by this amazing community surrounding the thing. I'm going to be using that with a couple of Launchpad minis to kind of, to use it. So I'm going to do a live stream fairly soon on that because, this year's been Buchla and Norns, but obviously all the other stuff is still being, dragged out and used on a regular basis. So.
Oh yeah. It's always.
Yeah, you shouldn't have asked that question, Alex. I started ranting. You said we'll hold it at 2 products, and I've just done 4, I think. So yeah, and I could go on, but anyway, we'll probably wind up for the night. So, thanks. Oh, you've got something, yeah?
Just before we do wind up, I did think of a trick that I really.
Go ahead.
It'd be really fun to show on the circuit, just because.
I'm going to switch over to your view here. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is on circuit tracks. This is the one. This is the trick. You showed me, or you showed us at the office a long time ago. It's really cool. It's just got a kick drum sound. It's got a long tail. Yeah, let's hear that. Now, if you turn the distortion up, it sounds pretty Larry. And if you have record on, then it will and hit play, then it will record the it'll automate the hand movement on the knob there. So what I'm going to do is bring the distortion up after the hit. You'll get a really nice crunch, and then bring it back down so that the next hit doesn't have that. So
I remember that little tip very fondly and well indeed. Although I have to be quite honest, I don't think I actually came up with that one. I think Ollie Burke, who was working at Novation at the time, I think I'm fairly certain he shot. I mean, there are other things that can be done with the automation to kind of, you just have one drum sound in there, but you can just kind of squeeze loads of stuff out of it from, for example, open hi-hats. I never actually used any closed hi-hats in the circuit. I just, in the original, just have open hi-hats. I just close that decay pot right down. So they're just like closed hi-hats. And then you can just automate the openness and just kind of make it sound a lot more natural that way. So yeah, the automation is great. But yeah, I do think, Ollie was our product manager for Novation when the original circuit was being developed, and I'm fairly certain I think he showed me that. It might not have done actually. I could have come up with that. There's a few circuit things I think I did spot, but there was one time, and it was when we got pattern chaining in there, and I worked it out that you could get a pattern that would never repeat for over 10 years in one session. Yeah, I can't remember the exact figures, but I used prime numbers as the pattern lengths, and if you chain those together, I think it got up to something ridiculous, like it became something like millions of patterns long, 38 million patterns. Something, it was something ridiculous. I should get the maths book out and just kind of try and remember what it was. But I actually worked it out. At 120 beats per minute, it would take 10 years for the pattern to actually repeat itself. That was on the OG.
Don't tell the QA team.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. Okay, Alex. Well, I think we'll leave it for now. But thanks so much for joining us for this edition.
Thanks.
It's been a real pleasure having you on. It's been really fascinating to hear about the stuff that you've been doing from the QA side, but also just get an opportunity to hear you play. Is there anywhere else we can hear your music? Anywhere else that we can kind of catch up with what you do?
Yeah, it's on Spotify and SoundCloud and Bandcamp under the name Acid Tea.
Acid Tea. Classic
acid and
name.
A cup of tea. Yeah. That's and it's all basically circuits, bass station, and an excuse for a guitar solo. That's
fantastic.
That's my thing.
Excellent. Well, that's it. So if you want to check out some more of Alex's music, and I fully recommend that you do, go and search for some Acid Tea. Brilliant.
Thanks.
Hey man, thank you so much for that. And so all it means is all I need to do now is say farewell and see you on the next session. But thanks very much for joining us. I hope it's been fun for you guys, and catch you again soon.